Strategic thinking is what accelerates careers because if leaders will only ever see you as a hard worker, then you're just going to keep working hard through late nights and someone else is going to get trusted to make the decisions. In this video, I'm going to show you how you can think strategically, but more importantly, how you can use it to stand out and make the jump from hard worker to decision maker. You see, the biggest mistake that smart professionals make is thinking that promotions are a reward for working hard. But if that were true, then teachers and nurses and sanitation workers would be earning far more than they actually do. But corporate success is a lot more like Dragon's Den or Shark Tank. They're successful because they can look at an idea and instantly understand whether or not it has value. And this is the same skill that executives reward in the workplace. And I've been using this skill myself, and my career has grown really fast. Just a few years ago, I was answering phones, but now I drive multi-million-dollar decisions and have won awards at the leadership level. So I want to help you, and I will show you how you can think strategically at work in a way that will get you recognized and will advance your career fast. Right, so there are three frameworks that I use all the time at work to think strategically, and I'm going to show you each one of them, starting with the first one. And this is the one that you're going to build everything else on top of, because you can have the smartest idea in the company, but executives don't reward ideas, they reward results. And without this base framework, then your idea will never get realized. So I learned this really tough lesson in my career. I was leading this important initiative and I was really excited because I had the opportunity to present this to the SVT. I was really nervous and I laid out my ideas to the room, and the SVP listened very carefully. He politely flicked through some of the slides and had a look at the materials. And then he asked me three questions. 5 minutes later, the entire project was killed. Not because it was a bad idea or because I couldn't explain it properly. It died because it wasn't strategic. You see, my problem was that I'd built something clever, but it couldn't survive the pressure test. And employees pitch ideas, but strategic executives pitch outcomes. Research by McKinsey looked at thousands of failed initiatives, and they found that the majority didn't die because they couldn't execute on the idea. They died because the assumptions were wrong from the very start. Strategy isn't about steering a plan around problems. It's about anticipating those problems before they even happen. So if you want to think like a strategist instead of a hopeful project owner, then you need to be able to attack your own idea before anyone else does. And I do that using what I call the three strategic tests. Now, first is the outcome test. This is where you ask yourself, does this actually change something leadership care about? And if it doesn't, then you don't have a strategy. What you have is a nice to have. Second is the adoption test. So will this matter to the people who are actually going to use this? Now, this could be people inside the company who are supposed to use it, or it could even be relevant to customers. Because what you've designed might work on a design document, but if the humans who are meant to actually use it every day are not going to bother with it, then the idea might as well be dead. Now, thirdly is the exposure test. And this is where you ask yourself, what could go wrong really quickly? Because if you're blind to the downside, then the upside is never going to matter. If your idea passes all three, that's when you have a strategy. If it fails even one, then you don't have a strategy. You've just got a task with a nice presentation. This is why smart professionals get held back in their career, because their ideas might genuinely be really good, but they can't pass this strategic test. Strategic thinkers are the ones who answer the questions that executives haven't even asked yet. And if you want a free template for all the strategic decision making I'm doing, I'll leave that in the description below. It's the same one I use to test every idea and run every project. Now, number two, and most people do this all the time and it quietly stalls their careers. And the worst part is, most of the professionals I speak to, they don't even realize that this is what's holding them back. So early in my career, I wasn't happy at the current level I was. I wanted to stand out and get promoted. So I would try to outwork everyone. I would volunteer for all these new projects and take on all these tasks. I'd say no to going out with friends, and my marriage got strained because of all the late nights I was putting in. But nothing was working. I felt like I was on a treadmill. I was just running and going hard, but not actually getting anywhere. Burnt out and really frustrated, I once went to the VP and I said to him, I'm going to have to look for opportunities elsewhere because I'm doing everything I can and I'm not getting the growth I want to from this organization. And he said, well, let's look through what you're working on right now. So I showed him and he glanced over it and he looks at it and then says, can you tell me which one of these actually moves the business forward? And then I stared at this piece of paper and I realized that I couldn't really justify most of what was written there. And that was the problem right there. Most of what I was working on wasn't something that leadership actually cared about. You see, activity is not progress. Progress is progress. And the Harvard Business Review found that high performers often stall out in their careers because they become bottlenecks, which means they're doing too much themselves instead of focusing on the work that's actually going to drive outcomes. You see, executives aren't impressed by effort, they're impressed by results. Being strategic isn't about not doing the wrong things, it's about not doing too many of the right things. And that's why strategic leaders are ruthless about eliminating what isn't going to move the needle. Now, I'll show you how you can prioritize with a 2-minute exercise I call the return on effort filter. So take every project or task that you're working on and then rank it against the following 3 dimensions. Firstly, we have impact. So will this meaningfully move something the company cares about? If not, then why are you working on it? Second is visibility. Who is going to notice the outcome of this work? Does a key decision maker understand the value? And thirdly is strategic alignment. Does this connect to what senior leaders care about, importantly, right now? If it doesn't contribute to their priority, then it's not going to contribute to your career. And here's the rule. If a task scores low on 2 or more of those things, then either delay it, delegate it, or delete it. Hard workers defend their calendar, while strategic leaders defend their impact. Next, I'm going to show you the exact thing that will make you stand out at work and get your career moving fast. So this is number 3. So I was working with this client and he couldn't understand why his ideas always failed to connect with leadership. He told me that he just couldn't get leadership to see the project the way he could see it in his mind. He asked me, do you think I just have bad ideas? And I told him, well, show me what you would show to one of the executives. Now, I don't work in your company, but I can't judge the merit of the idea, but I can judge how strategic the thinking is. So he showed me what he was presenting, and there was the problem. It was immediately obvious. He was solving at the level that the operators are at, but not at the level the executives are at. It wasn't that the idea was bad, it was that the thinking behind the idea had never reached the high enough level to match the executives. If your thinking is too low, then your ideas will never get a chance to rise. And a study by Leadership IQ found that the main reason smart professionals stall in their careers is because they always remain in problem-solving mode, whilst executives are judging decisions in the decision mode. So the quickest way that you can elevate your career is to elevate your thinking. So let me show you exactly how you can do this. And I call this the 3 elevations of thinking. At the bottom level, you've got operational. This is the how. This is where you ask, how do we deliver? What are the practical implications of this piece of work? In the middle, you've got analytical level. This is where you ask why. What's driving this situation? What's the leverage that we have here? And at the very top, the one you want to be at is the strategic level. This is where you ask, should we be doing this? Does this actually change the business? And should leadership care about this? And the rule is very simple. Start where the executives are thinking up here and only drop down if they ask you to. Strategic thinkers don't just solve problems, they solve the right problem at the right level. And now, this next thing is the highest leverage thing any professional can learn because executives won't recognize how strategic your thinking is unless you can communicate it in their language. And unfortunately, we live in a world where promotions don't go to the one who is the most strategic, they go to the person who sounds the most strategic. So, watch this video next. I'll show you how to communicate like a C suite leader. And if you want those templates, you can find them in the description below.